Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very special J&J Squared Circle Wrestling Updates and Commentary Smackdown recap for 6/11 of 2019. And as you can see, John is back. John, what's up, man?
What's up, man? How you doing? Happy to be back.
Glad to see you back back here on the show so we can get this knocked out.
Yeah.
Good Smackdown, huh?
It was good. You know, I did enjoy it. It was a lot better than the past few weeks. You know, there's still a lot of promos, but not as much as the prior shows.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree because it was just, at least this show got us some matches. You know, the last week's show only had 2 matches in it total. We literally had like an hour and a half worth of freaking promos. You know,
right.
it was just it was a nightmare. So this show tonight took place in Sacramento, California.
Hold on.
And
before we start, I have a surprise for everyone. All right, I promise you, Josh, I can see a look on your face. I know you cannot wait. Big surprise.
I'm more worried than I'm more worried than anything, because when it comes to you, there's no telling what's going to go down. So, you know, we'll see what happens. So tonight, it took place in Sacramento, California. Commentary: Tom Phillips, Byron Saxton, and Corey Graves.
Sacramento, home of the cows. Yep. You know, I think I've said this before. Huh?
That's your mom's house.
No, she's just Queen Cow. There's a difference. All right. So
she will tax your milk.
But I
and everything else guys? To eat in your house.
I've actually seen a cow milking a cow in Sacramento. You don't believe me? You know what? Just go over there and you'll see it yourself. It could be a blonde cow, it could be a brunette cow, but I'm telling you right now, you see one of them milking an actual cow and then drinking the milk right off the top.
I've been to Sacramento a couple times. I've never seen that personally. I will say, though, I actually like Sacramento. It's a pretty nice town. I like Old Town Sacramento. It's pretty cool, but...
No, I know Bakersfield. I mean, you'll see pigs milking other pigs. So, I mean...
Well, that's what Bakersfield was built on. What are you talking about? So, everybody's making bacon in Bakersfield.
Yep, there you go.
You know... So tonight's episode of SmackDown opened up with a very reluctant Miz. Miz did not want to do this, and it opened up. It opened up with a set of balls. Finally, WWE has responded. Officially, WWE shot back. I don't know if you caught it. I caught it. Miz comes out with a piece of paper in his hand, and he basically says, I have been asked to read from a script.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Which is in obvious. I laughed the entire way through because he read that script about as like nonchalant as it possibly can get.
No,
you know,
you said they shot back or did they shart back?
Yeah, they shot back for sure. I mean, this is in response that, hey, you know, we're actors as well as you know, athletic, you know, specimens. You know, I mean, it's like, if you guys don't know what we're talking about, it all refers to Jon Moxley, a.k.a. Dean Ambrose. He gave an interview basically saying that they don't want you to go off script. They give you a script. They want you to stick to that script, and that's it. And this was a response to that, saying, well, you suck. You know, because this is our program. Our program dominated everybody else's program up to this point. This is what got us here, type of thing. And The Miz, I have to say, out of everybody in the back, I think the Miz delivered it perfect.
Of course, he's really good on the mic.
Yeah, I mean he was super good, and it was just it. My hat's off, Miz. You did a good job. So finally, they're acknowledging the other side little by little.
Hold on,
so,
give me 1 minute. Oh, hold on.
You know, it's just one of those things. So,
yes.
So
no, I told you, yeah. No, the tickets are coming. I already ordered them.
Miz opened up, and his guests for the night were.
Right. Yes, Raw's coming to LA next week. I already told you.
Elias, along with Drew McIntyre and Shane McMahon. Obviously, Shane McMahon had a little bit of him and Miz had a little bit of a quarrel. Miz really did not want to, have to go up and interview Shane McMahon, saying that he's the best in the world and whatnot and what have you. And, basically ended up in, Miz TV in the middle of the ring having to interview all three of these idiots. Elias ended up actually playing a little song on his guitar, doing his little thing, and then, Shane starts talking. Basically, they go back and forth, trying to essentially just trying to piss Shane. You back? Okay, so basically Shane was just trying to piss off Miz. It winds up leading into a whole nother scenario of well, how about we have a match right here, Miz, me and you, once again. And Miz was like, yeah, let's go. And Shane winds up putting him in a gauntlet situation where he's got to beat Elias, and if he beats Elias, then he's got to beat Drew McIntyre, and if he beats Drew McIntyre, then he can finally face Shane. So it starts. That's our first 3 matches of the night. He goes to Elias, he beats Elias, he gets to Drew, and he loses. Drew basically kicks his ass. Shane says, I'm a nice guy. I'm going to go ahead and let you on through, and I'm going to face you anyway. Basically puts Miz in another triangle, forces him to tap out. Now Miz is 3-0 against, or Shane is 3-0 against the Miz. And that's how that entire segment went down.
You know what? I honestly had hoped that Miz would go over Shane just because. Miz has lost every single match since last October. So, I was really hoping that powers that be would be like, all right, you know what, let's have him go over. Is that pretty much a meaningless match?
Well, they're obviously doing something here. It's either going to lead up to a tag team match between Drew McIntyre, Shane McMahon, Roman Reigns, or Miz, or all 4 of them are going to have another matchup at some point. And which I think is coming up in Showdown. Shane doesn't have a match.
Not Showdown, but Stomping Grounds.
Or not Showdown, but what is it?
Stomping Grounds.
Stomping Grounds. Thank you. Sorry, they all sound the fucking same now. So, does Miz have a matchup?
No, he's not been booked for one yet.
And Shane doesn't either.
No, what are you talking about? Oh no, Shane? No, he doesn't. Yeah, you're right.
So we're gonna see a Miz versus Shane 4.
Yippee! Yep, I'm excited.
It is what it is, you guys. I mean, I don't know what else to say. The next matchup of the night was extremely exciting. We got Heavy Machinery. Yeah. The fattest worm I've ever seen in my life. So, this was a squash match. First, you had... This was such a lame-ass segment, I tell you what. You had Daniel Bryan, you had Owen come out and start their promo. And then Heavy Machinery comes out, interrupts them, gets into the ring, challenges them for the belts. Uh, Rowan and Brian end up actually getting out of the ring. They said, "Hey, if you guys have to earn it. These are the guys that you're going to face," which was basically called the Yolo County. I don't even know what they were called.
Tag team champions.
And their belts were made out of cardboard.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, now
this
obviously Heavy Machinery got over. I'm kind of disappointed they weren't presented with the cardboard tag team championships.
So am I. They could have had a title unification match, again, like Daniel Bryan has said. And now, if Heavy Machinery won those titles,
fair and square, right? They're technically champions.
Right.
They're cardboard champions.
Let's have it.
Yeah.
Literally. Cardboard champions, literally.
Yeah. So, the next segment to take place, you found Carmella in the back with R-Truth. And they heard somebody coming. R-Truth ducks into some kind of a bin. It winds up getting locked. Carmella can't get it open. She's got to go because, excuse me, guys, it's been a long day today. And it's been hotter than hell. Okay.
And what's that ice behind you?
Yeah, I wish it would be cooling me off. So, Carmella had a match. And so she left. Here was her matchup. She went up against Sonya Deville. Obviously, she was with Mandy Rose. And, this was kind of a one-sided match, I mean, if you guys look at Kofi and Big E, this is what I look like every time those two come out.
Yeah.
I'm just shocked.
I just realized
John, he falls asleep when the ladies come out.
Go back to that picture of Carmella. Go back to that picture really quick. I just realized that her tits said fabulous. Fabulous. Well, I could spell it too. Fake. I'm just saying.
I mean, look where we're from, man. We're from California. We're home of the FAKE. This is where it all began.
Yes.
I don't know who you're fooling. Anyway, moving on. It was just Sonya Deville went over on Carmella. Basically Mandy was interfering the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
Is what it is. The next matchup, and I'm going to bring this one out. The New Day is back in full force. The three of them are back together again. And
with their mouths wide open.
Because it was a shock that they kept them together. So basically a little bit of a celebration. Welcome back, blah, blah, blah.
At least they didn't say thank you to everyone again for like the 15,000
for the 800th time.
Yeah.
Only to be interrupted by these three. Basically the exact same interruption as last night, except we got Dolph Ziggler this time. So
you have two Canadians and someone from the Midwest. Okay.
And this time Sami Zayn was actually in this match. It was basically a whole setup, the whole promo, everything about it with all these guys was all a setup for a 6-man tag team match.
Doesn't Sami Zayn look like he could be a redheaded stepchild?
He is actually.
Okay. I just want to be sure.
Yeah, he got beat up a lot because he's a nerd. So we then move on to the next segment, which is basically
who won that match. Let's tell our viewers who
that match didn't happen yet.
Okay.
It didn't happen yet. It was just a setup for the main event. So, now you dart off backstage. You got Nikki Cross with Alexa Bliss. They're really trying to build this. I don't know what they're doing here with those two.
Obviously, they're trying to build a feud. I mean, that's
Yeah,
clear.
I don't know.
I mean, Alexa Bliss. They're
I don't know.
Alexa Bliss is using Nikki.
You know what, man, though? Honestly, dude, it could very well possibly be a situation where they go for the titles, man.
You know what? What happened to Asuka and Kairi Sane? They were
there was a big thing about that. I was reading some news earlier, and they've been taken off screen completely. I mean, I don't want to get on that topic right now, but just to give everybody a taste, on one of our prior shows, we actually kind of were discussing about how bizarre the pairing was between Asuka, Sane, and Paige. How it's just a kind of a bizarre pairing.
You're right.
I think that may have something to do with the reason why they're not on TV right now. So, I mean, it is possible that this Nikki Alexa thing is being built up. Where, you know what I mean? Where Alexa's still kind of an asshole, but she's a face. You know what I mean? Because she's always been cocky. She's always kind of been a bit of a dickhead. So I kind of feel like they're gonna keep her that way, but kind of as a face, but possibly take her and Nikki to the titles. Because look, there's nobody going for those damn things. Somebody's gonna have to go for them.
Well, you know what? You and we've talked about this, and I seem to agree with you. I think WWE has given up on the women's division, or at least the tag division right now. I really do. I think so. They're just playing around with it, and
this match here was not good. It was not a good match by no means.
What are we talking about again? What match?
We're talking about this match. Nikki Cross versus Bayley.
Right.
Okay. So it really wasn't that great of a match. Honestly, it was probably one of the worst women's matches I've seen in a while. And that's too bad. Bayley deserved better. Bayley went over on Nikki Cross tonight. Of course, Alexa is facing Bayley this at the next pay-per-view. Bayley's going to win. That's obvious as daylight. And that was pretty much the end of that segment, you guys.
You know what? I will say this. I know I've told you this earlier. There has been one recent women's match that was just god-awful. That was like last week, I believe, between Charlotte and Lacey Evans. I don't think that the production in these women matches are what they were trying to push for 6 months ago. I really don't. I mean, because Bayley and Nikki Cross, that could have been a really good match, but it wasn't. Do you blame them or do you blame the people who produced that match?
It is quite possible. It is quite possible that there's just a lack of interest, man. I mean, when you're constantly getting pounded and not getting what you want, you start to just deflate. So it is quite possible. Now, we did have a segment with Aleister Black. I want to get this out of the way because it was quite interesting. Basically, Aleister Black is waiting for a challenge. And he went through this whole little spiel to basically tell the guy that was interviewing him, hey, go open that door. And the guy opens the door. Aleister Black turns around, looks right at the door and says, the door is open. Will somebody please challenge me? So basically, he yelled it at the top of his lungs. And then that was it.
Now, is it me, or do you feel like his promos are dragging on and on, just like Bray Wyatt?
Speaking of promos that are dragging on and on, that brings us to our Firefly Funhouse. Same as Raw. Same exact one as Raw. Here's my thing with this. I was reading something a little bit earlier where they were kind of believing that they've basically been doing this now for so long that they don't know how to bring him back. They don't know how to get him in the ring. And that they may just have him producing these in limbo until they can figure out a way to get him into the ring. You know what I mean? So, in other words, it's kind of like one of those things where the announcement's gone on for so long that they're kind of stuck on that announcement, and now the announcement has basically peaked to where it's now actually bigger than Bray Wyatt itself, and they don't know how to get away from it. You know, I don't think that's the case here. I think WWE has an overall plan. But Jesus Christ, man, they've been announcing fucking Bray Wyatt since before WrestleMania.
Around that, yeah.
You know,
It's been around that.
I mean, it's just kind of like one of those things where, we're already 2 pay-per-views in.
You know, even if this was the old days.
Let me rephrase that. We've got Super Showdown done. We've got Money in the Bank done. We're coming up to our next pay-per-view, and it's about to be done, and he's obviously not going to be there.
Right.
So, I don't know. Getting old.
It's just getting tedious. You know what? As much as I like Bray Wyatt and I love these Firefly segments, you know, it's just getting really, really bad. Hold on. I have to take this call. Hold on.
I'm gonna mute him because nobody wants to hear him talk on the phone.
What do you mean?
I'm going to continue. So,
look, I told you, payment went through.
The next match, or the next thing that we had, was actually
how you going to call me a loser?
a very interesting segment for me personally. You know, you have Kayla Braxton, who's obviously the interviewer, and she was actually interviewing Apollo Crews. And while the interview was going on, so while the interview was happening, Zelina Vega comes out, and you know, they're basically having a whole conversation back and forth about the Andrade situation, the Andrade match, you know, this and that, and Andrade's pissed, so don't mess with him, he'll take you out. And, you know, went back and forth for a minute, and then Chad Gable returns. He's redone a little bit. He doesn't look like this anymore. It was just a real quick little flash to him, and to be quite honest with you, I don't know what they're gonna do with him.
No, you know, I didn't even recognize him until I noticed his name. Yeah. I really didn't.
Yeah, he looks different.
I did not notice him.
Yeah, he looks different. And because his hair's cut, it's gone now. Yeah. He's completely chopped it off. So, I just hope they don't do, you know, the geeky fucking wrestler guy like they did with what's his name, with fucking Kurt Angle when they made him wear the mini cowboy hat.
Oh gosh.
Moving on. The very next matchup of the night was, you guessed it, The New Day versus KO, Dolph Ziggler, and Sami Zayn. A good match. Every single person in the ring can perform. And they did. They all performed, and they did really, really good job. Everybody was super excited to see Big E back in action. They liked that power from him. It went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It finally ended up with two troubles in paradise, and the New Day wins. And it basically ended with him holding the WWE title up high. The New Day and the brothers are all celebrating, and that was it. So that was the show. I give this show 7 stars. I think it was better than what we've seen since WrestleMania. I actually think this is the best WrestleMania or best SmackDown since WrestleMania. Shit, for that matter, I haven't seen a SmackDown that I actually considered a real 7, probably since October. Obviously that's before we started doing this show, but that's the way I kind of feel about it. What about you?
I liked it. I don't know what grade I would actually give it, but I thought it was pretty good in itself. It was enjoyable, especially over. It's one of the most enjoyable shows over the past several weeks that they've had. So hopefully they just keep on with that push. Now that they don't have to worry about a back-to-back pay-per-view like they did with Super Showdown. Now they can just focus on one pay-per-view, which is Stomping Grounds.
Yeah, and because we could actually get some real storylines out of this now.
Exactly.
Everybody's starting to spread out, and if they do this thing with SmackDown with Shane and Miz again, then they're picking up where they left off.
Well, it's like what they're doing with Roman and McIntyre. That match at WrestleMania, that's supposed to be it. The Shield. Remember, it was McIntyre shutting down the Shield. Okay?
Right.
And they're not mentioning it anymore, but now it's McIntyre versus Roman. And they've already built that storyline.
You think Roman should be going for a belt?
No, not right now. I don't think he needs.
You think they burned him?
He doesn't need it. Huh?
Do you think they burned him?
No, I don't believe that
I think they burned his return. Roman Reigns hasn't been the same. This is the first time I've seen Roman Reigns as a jobber or in a jobber-esque position since he split from the Shield the first time.
I think he needed that, though. Not everyone could be undefeated for years and years and years.
It is. I understand. He had his series of losses, too. Big losses. But, at the end of the day, though...
Look, in his feud with Taker, he went over. His feud with Wyatt, he went over. His feud with Cena, he went over. He really never lost.
Well, he lost some pretty big matches with Brock Lesnar. He lost some other matches in between there, that he just couldn't get over. He's won his share of matches, but he's lost some key matches as well. Look. I'm really happy that we're gonna start seeing some storylines really start to unfold here. I don't think we have another offset pay-per-view this year, like Super Showdown, because they canceled the Greatest Royal Rumble. They've canceled the women's pay-per-view.
I think they're gonna have one in November.
You think they're gonna do another women's pay-per-view?
No.
No,
they're gonna have another one in Saudi Arabia. Because that's what the contract is. They have to do at least 2 shows.
Well, okay. So, but that's a pretty dead time of year anyway.
Right.
So, it's very easy to carry on, especially with the success that this one had, minus the Goldberg Undertaker situation. But from what I understand, that situation was a lot worse than what was originally thought in terms of Goldberg. Goldberg's lucky. Goldberg got real lucky. He actually gave himself such a bad concussion that he actually collapsed outside the ring. And they had to actually carry him out. Goldberg has never been carried away from the ring his entire career. And they actually had to carry him away from the ring. It was that bad. So, and from what I understand, too, Undertaker was pretty pissed about it. And they got into an argument backstage. him and Taker, they had a whole bunch of words backstage. But of course, all of this happened not knowing that Goldberg concussed himself.
Right.
You know, and Goldberg was probably just reacting. You know, his mind wasn't even in the right freaking place. You know, he was just probably reacting. Goldberg or Undertaker was just being who he is, and, you know, really pissed on Goldberg, and Goldberg wasn't going to fucking have it being Goldberg. But Goldberg probably didn't even know what he was doing.
Right.
So,
No, he came out and said it almost immediately.
oh, yeah, he apologized to everybody. You know, it was the worst match I've seen in a long time. But now that I know the details, I kind of understand why it was that bad. You know, he couldn't perform.
Look, he lost a lot of blood in that match. Then he
I don't even think the blood even mattered. I think it was strictly the concussion.
No, if you listen to Michael Cole, he said it 155 times of how hot it was down there. Of it being 101 degrees.
You know what, though?
So that didn't help either. You know what I mean?
You know, but I don't... Dude, these guys train in gyms that are hotter than fucking hellfire. Purposely. On purpose. Like, they literally knock the freaking temperature up in some of these gyms to 100-something degrees. Because they you know...
I think it was too much for every performer that night,
look,
including...
I mean, I don't know. I don't know about you, but I've had a concussion before. And I can tell you right now, your mind immediately, it's not you. You know, it's like it's all of a sudden, it's like all of a sudden you've awoken a second personality, and for some reason you just can't think for yourself, and it's just absolutely bizarre. And so when it came to this situation here, Goldberg just wasn't in a good place when that concussion happened, so he just couldn't perform. He knew where he was, he knew what he had to do, but he didn't have the strength to do it. And that's how things ended up the way they were over there. I think despite that match, though, I do think that Super Showdown went over really, really well. And now that show is over with, we come in. Last night's Raw was awful.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys watched the show that I was on, but to be honest with you, I wasn't even into it. I wasn't even into the show. It's like I really didn't know what to say. You know, it was just I was literally drawing blanks the entire show because it was just kind of like I kind of felt like I was repeating myself. You know, from last week. Like I kind of felt like I could have taken last week's script and put it onto this week's, and it would have been the exact same thing. And then coming into tonight's show, man, it was a night and day difference, and it was only 2 hours.
Right.
You know, I mean, you know, I've always been a firm believer that I always thought Raw should be 2 hours because the third hour is just trash. I don't think they need 3 hours of bullshit.
You know, and
2
you're not
hours
the only
max.
one. I'm telling you this right now. You're not the only one. I bet you and 100,000 people, including myself, say the same thing. They do not need 3 hours.
No, they don't need 3 hours because you know I don't need 2.5 fucking hours, you know, of people talking. I don't need that. You know, at the end of the day, this is still wrestling, right? We want to see people get in the ring. We want to see those super moves. You know, we want to see that good stuff. So, you know, at the end of the day, this SmackDown was kind of a breath of fresh air. It gave us topics. I'm into it. I enjoyed it. I thought there were some really funny parts. I thought there were some really good serious parts. I really appreciated The Miz and what he did and how he handled that shoot. I mean, come on, you guys. You know, there was a time when I used to piss on The Miz's name because I couldn't stand that fucker. But for some reason, in the last year and a half to 2 years, he has accomplished things not only with himself, but with his character, and has become one hell of a superstar.
You know what I think has really helped him, and I'm not going to lie. I know you probably haven't watched it, and a lot of people probably haven't, but I have, you know, thanks to my daughter. I follow his show religiously, The Miz and Mrs., and it's actually a really good show. He puts himself out there and he explains his character during this show as well. And I think that's how he's being able to evolve himself. You know, and I know back in the day, a couple years ago, I every time he went on TV, I would just change the channel. Now I am interested, and I think that's what his goal was, is to get people to actually like him and watch what he does inside the ring on a character base. And I think he's succeeded.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
You know,
I
I
mean,
mean,
he had to grow. He
right,
had to grow somehow because at one point he was playing this character where he didn't even want his face to be touched.
right, right. No,
And now he's a little bit grittier. He's actually, the crowd accepts him.
right.
I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say right now I firmly believe that Miz is kind of the new face of WWE.
Yeah, but
Because
and
he's obviously the most,
his show.
well, he's
It's because of
obviously
his
the most
show.
depended on.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, fuck, man. The guy has 2 kids, or 1 kid on the way. He had 1 kid, and he still is at the show.
Right.
I mean, Daniel
Well,
Bryan,
but
Bryan
look
took
at
off
his-
like a fucking month and a half when
but,
his kid was born. The Miz took off 1 week.
Yeah, but look at his money hungry wife, his even more money hungry mother-in-law, for God's sake.
Oh.
All right, I mean, for Jesus Christ, and then his loser father, who's now all of a sudden so proud of him. All right, because he's
the
a star.
mood.
Yeah,
The mood.
yeah. So I mean, it's like,
Dude, his dad's got swag.
dude.
his dad's got dad swag in WWE. I don't think that's ever happened in the history of fucking WWE.
You know who he reminds me of? The Miz's dad.
A goob?
Besides that.
The dad that comes to your house and knocks on your desk and says, "Hey, where did you get this? This is real. This isn't veneer. This is real stuff." Thanks, pops. You're I don't care. Like he just reminds me of that really goofy, uncomfortable fucking father that probably stares at his daughter's butt for too long, and then when you catch him, he tries to play it off. I mean, he's just he just reminds me of a creepy fucking weirdo, dude. Like, honestly,
you know who he reminds me of? He reminds me one of Ellie's friends' dad.
He reminds me he reminds me of a guy that would be a big fan of Ted Bundy. Dude, he's a weirdo, man. Like, he just looks, dude. He looks like a dork. I mean, just he does. He look how that man created the Miz. Obviously, the Miz took after his mom, because that dude, that guy is dorky and just really bizarre.
Let me tell you something. Ellie's friend's dad, God bless him. Okay, you want to talk about a dork? All right. How about a 55-year-old man trying to high five another parent, thinking he's 15 years old? Okay.
Oh, dude, we've all seen that though, man. We've all seen that one dad that's.
Oh right.
That one fucking middle-aged father that still trying to remain relevant in life, and then tries to do the handshake.
No, that's it.
I'm cool. Just do your thing.
No, that's what he does.
You know,
That's
and then he
exactly
tries
what
to
he
like,
does.
and then he tries to say like some goofy fucking joke, and the kids are sitting there just like, Dad, get the fuck out of here. Like, honestly, I was totally a cool person before you walked in the room, and you personally just dropped me down like 150 points in the cool factor right now. Right now, honestly, if I could, I would ground you because you're a dork.
Exactly.
You
No,
know, like,
that's this guy, and
like
that's him in his dad.
do yourself
So
a favor and pretend like you can still go get mom pregnant, okay? And leave me alone. You know, I mean, I, you know, I mean, it's just, I don't know. Mrs. Dad is dumb. Anyway, Ms., if you see this, I don't mean any of this.
I do.
You
Look, I
know,
love you, buddy, but yeah,
I really would like to have an autograph on a championship belt, and
for
I
sure.
really don't mean any of this. It's all for fun and games. You're actually really cool. I saw you on the Real World or whatever bullshit show you were on, and you know, good promo, huh? Anyway, going back to the show, uh, it was a good show. I I give it what it deserves. And I hope they keep this up. I hope they keep this up. You guys, I think we pretty much discussed what we can. John, you got anything to add?
Actually, I do. Before we do go off, I do have a major comment I want to say. All right, and I'm going to talk about production. All right, I'm going to talk about production of shows, production of companies, and people in general. Guys, there are shows out there whose producers are just flat out lazy and make up every single excuse that they can not to do a show or just to half-ass it. Case in point, I'm going to bring up TNA. Okay, now for 2 weeks, maybe 2 weeks in a row, or at least for the past 2 to 3 weeks, TNA and Pursuit, which they're on now, they cannot get it together. I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, Pursuit only showed half of a show of TNA when they were supposed to be on for a full hour. They only showed what 28, 29 minutes of it.
No, well,
Last
no,
week,
they cut
last
off
week,
right in the middle of their freaking main event,
right?
and
Okay,
and, and they never
and then
came back
last
from
week,
and they never came back from commercial.
right? And last week they didn't even put them on at all because they completely forgot. Now that is
Yeah, I mean, what kind
pathetic.
of waterhead do you have to hire? You know, I mean, seriously. I mean, did they honestly go to down the street and line up a whole bunch of fucking idiots and just say, all right, listen, whoever here is literally the most stupidest goddamn person on this whole entire block, raise your hand. You're hired. You're going to run our production stuff in this, and we're not going to explain to you at all how to use it. And have a good time. Here's your first check. That's what it
Right.
seems like, I mean, even for Pursuit, as shit ass as Pursuit is of a cable company, or network, they ought to be pretty pissed. And if you guys don't know what Pursuit is, don't be upset at yourselves because most of the world doesn't even know. And if you take a dog turd and you look under it, you're gonna find Pursuit, and and underneath Pursuit is TNA, way down there, 6 feet under that dog turd. So, I mean, it's just I mean, John's right. I mean, it's just absolute irresponsible, and it explains why they are where they are.
Now, and that's not the only company. There's other people out there, even on the internet, and their producers do the same bullshit. And it's not fair to the viewers, not fair to people who want to put the time in to try to help make the show work. I just want to guarantee you guys, we're not one of those shows. I promise you guys that you know, we joke. You'll hear me say some off-color things, but in all reality, it's just all fun and games. Because that's what we want you guys to have. It's fun and give you guys, our opinions of certain shows of backstage news as well. So I don't want you guys to ever think that we're gonna be like one of those second, third rated shows on the internet. Because we're not.
Well, and if I can add something too, we're right now we're kind of at that beginning phase, where we got the stuff that we got so we can start to show up. And from there, I'm sure if you guys have been watching our videos, you can see production-wise that we're constantly making improvements, constantly making, more, detailed, imagery, the cameras, everything that we're trying to do, the sound quality, stuff like that. We're constantly trying to upgrade and make it better for you guys.
Right.
Obviously, we've added a lot of cool features to our show. We've as we get further and further into this, things are going to start getting upgraded. Everything from microphones to visual, things like that. So it's just a matter of time. We're at the beginning phase. This is what we got right now. But it's not going to change who we are. We're still going to try to be as close to as ourselves as we possibly can. But we're always going to make those improvements.
Right. So I just want to put that out there. For in general. For anyone who's serious about wanting to do a show should really put 100% into it. Not people like TNA who completely screwed it up. And let's face it, they were on their last leg anyway.
Yeah,
but
at some point we're gonna be putting shows on daily. At some point, we're gonna be constantly in production, constantly putting videos out, whether they're just simple new, daily news topics that are like little 5-minute videos to whatever. Constantly putting out, topic videos. Just maybe we want to just go all in on John Moxley and Moxley alone. We're constantly going to be doing that stuff. So we're going to be producing a lot of cool stuff. There's a lot of neat things in the future that we're going to be getting into. Not just the 3 shows that we currently do, which, by the way, is Monday night, Tuesday night, and Friday night, and after pay-per-views. So we're going to be producing a lot more than that. 205 Live, NXT, and then, we may just have little topic videos. Maybe John will put out some videos. I'll put out some videos. Whatever, it'll all go on to our network, J&J Squared Circle. And, it's just, we're constantly going to be making things better.
I mean, our goal is to make you guys happy. Is it not, Josh?
Yeah, we make them laugh, make them enjoy it. Kind of, I think when me and John originally decided to do this show, the original conversation that we actually had was, how can we bring people into our conversations? How can we just do what we do every day and just talk about wrestling on camera? And put it on YouTube, and let's see if there's anybody out there that may have the exact same opinions. They might think it's kind of a, cool thing because it's more of a fan to fan type of connection, because we look at things from a little bit different. We're not just fanboys, who obviously look at the sport for what it is, for what we see. We look at it from a point of view of, where do we think this is going, and why do we think they're going in this direction? And we have some really bitchin' conversations sometimes, and usually the outcomes of them, we can usually predict quite a bit. We have a pretty high ratio of predictions, and you guys are going to see that over a period of time.
and trust me, and with what I do or say, like sometimes on here, trust me, I do that with Josh all the time, and I want you guys to also understand. I'm not really an asshole. I mean, yeah, once you get to know me, I'm not an asshole. You'll understand. So hopefully we'll get to know each other as
He's
well.
lying. He's such a liar. If there was ever a dickhead to be had, you're looking at it right there. You know, yeah, you know,
But
anyway,
anyway,
getting away from it. You guys, I just want to thank you guys for coming on to our show. I think we've pretty much crossed over to the point where of no return. We're going to call this one a night, you guys. So, again, you guys, thank you guys so much for attending J&J Squared Circle. Please like, subscribe, hit that little bell so you can get future notifications on all of our future shows. Please leave comments in our box on how you think we can make this better for you, what topic points you may want to focus on, and let's build this channel up into something that you guys can appreciate, a show for you guys, not just for us. So you guys, thank you guys very much. I'm Josh, your host. Thank you very, very much, John.
no, thank you guys for coming. We'll see you next time.
Absolutely, you guys. You guys take care. We'll see you guys on Saturday.